Hey there! Did you know that at one point in history, people in Zimbabwe carried their money around in wheelbarrows, not to show off, but because a single loaf of bread could cost billions of dollars? Sounds wild, right? But there's a reason behind this, and it all starts with one deceptively simple question: if governments can print money, why don't they just print loads of it and make everyone rich? I mean, imagine this: you wake up tomorrow, check your bank account, and bam! The government's printed a bunch of new cash and deposited $1 million into everyone's account. Problem solved, right? No more poverty, no more stress about bills, no more debt. But here's the twist: money isn't magic paper. It's only valuable because we all agree it's valuable. And when there's too much of it floating around, that value can disappear faster than free snacks at a party. Let's break this down with a simple example. Say you live in a tiny town with just 100 chocolate bars for sale. Now, everyone in town has $10 to spend, so the price of a chocolate bar might be, let's say, $1. Makes sense, right? Limited supply, balanced demand. But now imagine the government strolls into town and hands everyone an extra $100. Suddenly, each person has way more money, but the number of chocolate bars hasn't changed. The chocolate hasn't magically multiplied, it's still 100 bars. So what happens? People rush out, ready to buy more. But since the supply hasn't grown, sellers start raising the price. Maybe the chocolate now costs $10 instead of $1. And just like that, the extra money you got. It doesn't make you richer. Prices just adjust, and your new $100 buys you the same amount of stuff as before, or sometimes even less. This is inflation, when prices rise because the value of money falls. And if the government keeps printing more and more money, prices can skyrocket out of control. That's when inflation turns into hyperinflation, the nightmare where people need millions just to buy a loaf of bread, like those folks in Zimbabwe. And here's the sneaky part: it doesn't just mess with prices at the grocery store. It can shake the entire economy, from the way businesses plan for the future to the way people save and invest. Because if your money is losing value every day, what's the point of saving it? You might as well spend it the second you get it, right? And when everyone starts thinking like that, the economy spins into chaos. Businesses can't set prices, workers demand higher wages just to keep up, and the government? Well, the government's left scrambling to put the brakes on a runaway train. But wait, you might be thinking, okay, inflation sounds bad, but surely printing a little extra money to pay off national debt or fund projects can't hurt, right? Well, here's the thing: even printing just a little extra can be like adding hot sauce to your food. A tiny bit might be fine, but too much, and suddenly your mouth's on fire. When a government prints money to pay off its debts or fund projects, it's not creating new wealth, it's just creating more paper chasing the same amount of stuff. Think of it like slicing a pizza into more pieces. You've got more slices, sure, but the pizza itself didn't magically grow. Everyone's just getting a thinner slice. And when people notice that more and more money is being printed, trust starts to crack. Businesses raise prices because they expect money to keep losing value. Workers ask for higher pay because they know the same paycheck won't stretch as far next month. Rent, groceries, gas, all of it starts climbing. And before you know it, the extra cash printed to help ends up making life more expensive for everyone. Now, here's a fun fact: Germany went through this exact mess back in the 1920s. After World War I, the country was buried under debt, so the government thought, no problem, we'll just print more marks to cover it. But the more marks they printed, the worse things got. Prices didn't just go up, they exploded. People were paid twice a day and had to rush out and spend their cash before it lost value by nightfall. One story even goes that a man left a wheelbarrow full of money outside a bakery, and when he came back, the cash was dumped on the ground, but the wheelbarrow had been stolen. The money was literally worth less than the cart carrying it. That's the danger of treating money like it's unlimited. If you print too much, people stop believing in its value, and when that trust vanishes, the entire system starts to crumble. Because at the end of the day, money isn't backed by gold bars locked away in a vault. It's backed by confidence, the belief that tomorrow, your money will still be worth something. And this is where it gets even more interesting. You might wonder, why don't governments just print money and give it only to the poor, or use it just for schools or hospitals? Sounds pretty reasonable, right? The trouble is, the same rules apply. The more money you inject into the system without increasing the amount of goods and services, the more prices rise. Think of it like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. No matter how much water you pour in, you'll never fill it if the water keeps leaking out. Governments and central banks do have a little room to print money, especially in emergencies like economic crashes. That's why you hear about things like stimulus packages or quantitative easing. But even then, they have to be super careful. Too little, and it won't help the economy. Too much, and inflation can start creeping in before anyone notices. It's like balancing on a tightrope. One wrong move, too much printed money, too fast, and the whole economy wobbles. And this also connects to national debt. Some folks wonder, why doesn't a country just print money to pay off what it owes? The answer's kind of like trying to cover up a hole in your wall with wallpaper. Sure, it looks fixed for a second, but the crack is still there underneath, and the more you pile on, the worse it gets. If a government prints money to pay off debt, the people and countries it owes will expect payment in real value, not freshly printed paper. When lenders see a country doing this, they lose faith, pull their money out, and the country's currency can tank even faster. And when the currency tanks, imports become expensive, businesses suffer, savings disappear, and the cost of living shoots through the roof. That's why most governments prefer to borrow money the hard way, by issuing bonds or raising taxes, rather than just printing new cash like it's monopoly money. Because in the long run, printing might solve a short-term headache, but it creates a long-term disaster. And it's not just a historical problem either. Look at Venezuela in the last decade. Oil prices crashed, the government printed money to cover its budget, and before long, prices were doubling almost every day. People started weighing cash instead of counting it. A cup of coffee could cost 5 bolivars one week and 500 bolivars the next. And the worst part? Once inflation spirals out of control, it's almost impossible to stop without some serious pain, like raising interest rates sky high, cutting spending, or even changing the country's entire currency. So when someone asks, why can't governments just print more money and make everyone rich, the simple answer is, money doesn't work like that. Printing more doesn't create new houses, or more food, or extra jobs. It just spreads the same amount of real wealth around thinner and thinner, until eventually, the money becomes as useless as the paper it's printed on. So, in conclusion, money only holds value because people trust it. Printing too much of it breaks that trust, and when trust disappears, the economy takes a hit that's hard to fix. It might seem like printing money would be an easy way out of debt or poverty, but in the real world, it usually makes things worse, not better. A healthy economy isn't built on printing presses, it's built on actual growth, hard work, and careful planning. If you want me to make other videos explaining these topics, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.